Hi, I'm Dave Karger. Thanks for joining me on TCM for this week's musical matinee. Today, we're also celebrating a momentous birthday. The eternally delightful Dick Van Dyke turns 100 years young today. Over the next few hours, you'll get to see Van Dyke in some of his most memorable films, including today's musical matinee, which marked his film debut. From Columbia Pictures in 1963, it's Bye Bye Birdie. This is the big screen adaptation of the hit Broadway show that earned 8 Tony Award nominations when it premiered in 1960. It won 4 Tonys, including Best Musical and a Best Featured Actor award for Dick Van Dyke, who was still a relative newcomer at the time. The show was inspired by an event that shook the nation in 1958 when Elvis Presley was inducted into the U.S. Army. Bye Bye Birdie begins with the news that an Elvis-like rock and roll superstar named Conrad Birdie has been drafted into the Army. He plans to give a farewell performance on The Ed Sullivan Show, where he'll bestow a goodbye kiss to one lucky fan. Dick Van Dyke reprises his Tony-winning performance as Albert Peterson, the struggling songwriter who composes Conrad's farewell song. And 21-year-old Anne Margaret co-stars as Kim McAfee, the teenage fan from Sweet Apple, Ohio, who's chosen to receive Conrad's last kiss. In the original stage production, Kim McAfee was much more of a supporting character. The true leads were Albert Peterson and his long-suffering fiancée, Rosie, who was played by Chita Rivera. But unlike Dick Van Dyke, Chita Rivera did not get the chance to reprise her role in the film. The part went to Janet Leigh instead. Leigh was a much bigger movie star. As you'll see, she's the one who gets top billing, but several of her numbers were cut to build up Anne Margaret's part. Some of Dick Van Dyke's songs were also cut for the film, but fortunately, he still got to perform the most famous tune in the score, Put on a Happy Face. From 1963, directed by George Sidney, also with Maureen Stapleton, Bobby Rydell, Jesse Pearson, and Paul Lynde, Bye Bye Birdie. The only 2 actors from the original Broadway cast of Bye Bye Birdie who reprised their roles in the film were Paul Lynde as Harry McAfee and Dick Van Dyke as Albert Peterson. Van Dyke's performance in the stage version won him a Tony Award, which was especially impressive because it was only his second Broadway role. Before that, he had only appeared in one other show, a musical revue that ran for just 16 performances. He made his big screen debut reprising the role of Albert Peterson in this 1963 film, and already a household name thanks to his popular CBS sitcom, he became an even bigger star by the middle of the decade with his performances in a handful of memorable musicals and comedies, including our next feature. It's the TCM premiere of one of the most beloved family films of all time, from 1964, co-starring Julie Andrews.
Next on TCM, Mary Poppins, then Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and later, The Power of Film Part 6. TCM gets the message today.